always start with coffee. Alright, hello and welcome back to another video. Today I want to kind of update you guys on what I've been doing for my training. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen that I've been doing a bit of like a hypertrophy program or like a building muscle phase. Maybe before I get into the video, I should just say if there's like loud humming noises, I live right downtown Toronto, huge construction site and train tracks. So anyway, I wanted to make a video talking about my hypertrophy phase and what that looked like for me, why I did it, and why I wanted to make a video about it. So first of all, when COVID first hit and lockdowns were put in place, there was about, well, almost a year where I didn't have access to equipment like this. My training was mostly body weight training, light weights, more cardio based and like conditioning style training, which I loved. But I do feel that I lost a little bit of muscle and strength for sure. So out of pure, I guess, boredom of not being able to do the training that I usually do, which is like boxing and strength training, I wanted to make myself a program and get some of my muscle and strength back, and also just play around with hypertrophy because I've never actually trained specifically to put on muscle before. I mean, I guess when I first got into fitness and I hired my own coach, he did that kind of programming for me, but I myself, I haven't programmed for myself any hypertrophy, so I wanted to experiment with that. So I guess in the big picture, what I wanted to do was get back to where I was pre-COVID and kind of make myself a periodized training program so that when all the lockdowns lift and I could get back to boxing and Muay Thai, I want to be in shape that if I decide I want to compete, I can compete, because getting into fight shape isn't easy and it takes a lot of time, and I want to always just be in the best shape possible, and I want to be the best, and that's why I compete. So I wanted to take advantage of all this time I have with the gym closures to prepare myself in a way that maybe I would prepare someone else for a fight. So kind of like an out of fight camp training conditioning program. So always start with building a base, which is the hypertrophy, what I just completed. I originally made it 6 weeks. I decided to extend it to 8 weeks, and I'm so glad I did, because building muscle is freaking hard. And I did it in a little bit of a different way because I wanted to minimize the amount of fat mass that I put on with the muscle. So I'll get into that and how I did it, but it takes time. And that, I guess, is part of the reason why I wanted to make the video and share with you my experience, because I know so many women in particular, they fear the type of training that is designed to put on muscle out of fear of getting bulky. And I kind of wanted to just, as you can tell people all you want, sometimes fear will take over or whatever, and I used to be that person too, afraid to train with heavy weights and high volume because I didn't want to put on muscle, and I just didn't realize what it actually took to do that. So now I'm rambling. I had so much coffee and I lost track of what I was saying. So anyway, I wanted some sort of visual proof that putting on muscle is so much harder than many people think it is, and maybe help just have this visual proof that maybe you don't need to fear it as much as you might. Okay, so in conclusion, reason why I did this was, one, for myself, I wanted to get into sort of fight shape again, eventually put myself through proper training and periodized programming. I wanted to have this visual proof for people that putting on muscle is really hard, and show you what I did to get to where I am now and the results that I ended up with. And then lastly, there was part of me that still kind of felt uncomfortable with gaining weight, because when you put on muscle, your weight goes up, obviously. So there was a part of me that was kind of like, I don't want to do that, because like, it's just, we're so programmed to like, you know, keep our weight or the scale as low as possible, you know, as low as you comfortably can. But I wanted to really like get out of my comfort zone and push that, and just experiment and be okay with gaining muscle and the scale going up. And especially because for the past couple of years when I was fighting in a weight category sport, you have to kind of keep your weight lower. So for me to see the scale go up is like, then am I gonna have to like diet real hard if I want to fight again? I don't want to do that. But anyway, so there's a lot of things. I just wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone and experiment with my own programming, my own training, and just my own comfort. Where to start? Let me get my laptop. Okay, so the original plan was I was going to do a 6-week hypertrophy program, build as much muscle as I could in 6 weeks, and then move on. But after the 6 weeks, I decided that it was a lot slower than even I had thought. So I extended it another 8 weeks. I really enjoyed the training. I just wanted to keep going. So my starting weight was around 126 pounds, and my maintenance before I started all of this was around 2,250 calories because I had tracked for a few weeks to find what my maintenance was. And then the plan was actually execute a bit of a reverse diet with the hypertrophy training. And the reason for that was I didn't want to do like a traditional bulk where I increased my calories immediately by a couple hundred a day so that I put on muscle as fast as possible. I wanted to experiment with doing it slowly. And the purpose of that is to minimize the amount of fat you gain when you're putting on muscle. So I increased my calories 50 a day, and then each week I would add on an extra 50. So I'm currently at averaging around 2,600 calories every day, and I'm maintaining my weight now at around 128.5. So a couple pounds, it's not much. There is no way for me to determine if this is in fact muscle or water or fat. It could be any of those things because the scale doesn't measure that. So that's why I try to have a very non-emotional attachment with the number on the scale, because it just doesn't really tell me enough. It only tells me what I weigh. And I did expect the number to go up. On average, women can gain approximately half a pound to a pound of muscle per month. So taking that into account, if I was training properly and eating properly, then I could gain a pound of muscle per month, which is essentially what I did. Now, the reason I'm assuming it's muscle, because just visually in the mirror, I can tell that I put very minimal amount of fat on, if any. My body does retain a little bit more water now because of all the strength training that I'm doing. I went from training 4 days a week to 5. So that's a lot of recovery, putting that much stress on the muscle. Your muscle retains water to repair. So a lot of retaining water. So the number on the scale could potentially be a bit of water as well. Maybe I didn't gain quite 2 pounds of muscle. Maybe it was only 1. I don't know. So just diving into what my training looked like. As I said, I started with 4 days a week. I did 2 upper, 2 lower, but I really wanted to push the lower body a little bit more. So I added in an additional lower body day. And I thought that was like a really good balance. I had a focus for each upper body day, I had a focus for each lower body day, and I really did notice some changes. Because I was training purely for hypertrophy, I really wanted to make that my focus. I didn't really have anything else to worry about, like boxing or competing or like anything else fitness wise. I wanted to really do it as best I could and really just focused on that. So I had minimal exercises for each workout, and I tried to do higher volume, so anywhere between 5 to even 10 sets of an exercise. I worked at an RPE of about at least 8. The things I wanted to focus on were I wanted to maintain good shoulder health, so strong shoulders all around. So focusing on the shoulders and then keeping shoulders in proportion with everything else. I did a bit of focus on the arms, and then I really prioritized having a strong back, because with boxing your posture is very forward, so I really always work on my back to keep that balance and shoulders pulled back, so healthy posture, and I just enjoy training back. And then I did for lower body, I focused on building my glutes, really trying to get them strong, because your glutes are just such an important part of your core. I consider glutes part of core because both help to stabilize and transfer power. So I really wanted a strong core for my sport, and then I just like the look of a round butt. So now that you have an idea of what my training looked like, let me talk a bit about nutrition, because nutrition really just goes hand in hand with your training, no matter what your goals are, really. For nutrition, I tried to focus on protein for recovery and building muscle, obviously. I like to eat on the higher end of the recommended amount of protein, which is like generally across the board, it's around 1 gram of protein per goal body weight. But I do like to eat on the higher end of that just for satiety purposes, and I just really enjoy high protein foods like my Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, all kinds of different meat and fish. So I prioritize protein. I think I got around 160 grams a day. Carbs and fat, I didn't put any goal for. There was no reason really for me to have a goal for them. I just ate what I wanted that day as long as I got my protein in, and then I did try to hit my calorie goal at least. But I also focused mostly on the weekly average. Everybody has days where they're hungrier, they indulge in more treat foods, or they socialize and have a couple drinks, and that really packs on the calories. So I don't restrict myself from that. So I just kind of like kept an eye on my weekly average throughout the week. As long as I'm like around, you know, my daily calorie goal as my weekly average, then that was all I cared about, really. So I am a very numbers oriented person. I love doing this stuff. I know it's not for everyone. You don't have to track your calories. I do recommend trying it out because it's just such a helpful tool, especially for protein. Even if you're not tracking your calories, I think tracking your protein for a week or so to see if you're getting enough is just so important. And I think a lot of us eat, like, we have our regular meals, our regular snacks. So sometimes you only need to track for a week or two. You learn the value of your favorite foods and the foods that you eat the most often, and then you don't have to do it anymore. It's just a very good educational tool. So I like to use it when I'm, you know, experimenting with my training and body composition and whatever. It's just like something that I like. I think it's pretty cool that I increased my calories around 350 overall throughout these 8 weeks, and I didn't gain, I'm gonna say I didn't gain any fat because I just don't notice it. I put on a little bit of muscle. I noticed most of the muscle in my butt, maybe a little bit in my legs and arms. Throughout this whole process of putting on a bit of muscle and increasing my food intake, I just feel a little bit more relaxed about gaining weight, and I feel relaxed about going over my calories or even going under them sometimes, because I know at the end of the day, my eating habits are pretty regular. I know how my body responds to certain things, and that's why I like tracking, because you learn your body's response to certain things. So yeah, I really just want to like drive it home how challenging it is to actually put on muscle and put on weight, especially when you're eating at a maintenance. And I was slowly increasing my calories so that my body's metabolism had time to catch up with the increased food. So if you're eating at a maintenance or even like slightly higher than your maintenance and you're trying to put on muscle, if you're doing it properly, what you should notice is that you might gain a little bit of muscle, and you might even lose a little bit of fat, but you're definitely not going to bulk up. You're definitely not going to bulk up. There really is no reason to fear things changing so quickly. Things change slow enough that at any point you feel like, okay, this is too much. You just kind of switch lanes and you go in another direction. Nothing happens overnight. Nothing happens in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. So that's the beauty of it all. There's plenty of time to make adjustments along the way. And I'm really happy with what I did. And I'm really excited for my next phase, because my next phase, I do want to transfer more into strength work and sport specific training. So that's the plan moving forward. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you're interested in following along this journey, kind of getting back into fight shape. I plan on doing this over a period of months. It's not going to be quick, but I can do these little updates and then put it all together in a video for you at the end, so you can just kind of see like what happened and what I did, because I feel like it's a good learning experience. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope maybe you learned a thing or two about what it really takes to build muscle, and I hope that if you did have this kind of like small or big fear of, you know, lifting heavy weights or training to build muscle or even increasing your calorie intake a bit, I hope that this kind of helped you realize that things don't happen so quickly and it's okay to experiment with things, and that training to build muscle and increasing your calorie intake slowly actually helps boost your metabolism. It can help recomposition the body like it did for me, and it can make you feel really good. Also, it gives you something else to focus on when you follow a program designed specifically for a specific goal. It gives you other things to focus on other than like the little things, you know, about your body or about whatever. It just like gives you a focus and kind of like blurs the rest. So the rest of these like negative things just don't matter anymore, and you're focused on your goal, and it helps a lot. So anyway, keep your performance goals in mind. To me, anyway, that is number one. Performance is always number one. And just appreciate what your body can do and what you can do. But I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, this little update. Please let me know if you did, because if you like this, I'll continue to keep updating you guys and make these videos on my training and what I'm doing and share with you guys. But otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Bye.